environment. To conclude, I wish everybody remains safe and healthy, denying scourge of ongoing pandemic COVID-19. May God keep all of us happy and healthy. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am, for your address. Thanks once again. I'm immensely pleased to invite Dr. Sharmistha Banik, Assistant Professor in Physics of IISc Kunjiban Agartala, for her introductory speech. Please, madam.
Am I audible, Munmun madam?
Yes, madam.
Oh, thank you. Good afternoon, respected principal madam, respected resource persons, all my colleagues and my dear students. Today we are here to celebrate virtually a most important day, World Environment. World Environment Day is celebrated annually on 5th June. It is the United Nations principal vehicle for encouraging awareness and action for the protection of the environment. It is a global platform for public outreach with participation from over 143 countries annually. Each year, the program has provided a theme and forum for business, non-government organizations, communities, governments, and celebrities to advocate environmental causes. It is also known as the Environment Day, Eco Day, or WED. It is a great annual event focusing on different environmental issues like marine pollution, human overpopulation, global warming, sustainable consumption, wildlife crime, etc. Raising awareness regarding these issues and trying to solve them. This day was established in 1972 by the United Nations at the Stockholm Conference on the Human Environment. That had resulted from the discussions on the integration of human interactions and the environment. 2 years later, in 1974, the first World Environment Day was held with the theme Only One Earth, and the host city was Spokane, United States. In 2011, this day was hosted by India. It was the first time for India to host the day, and the theme was Forests, Nature at Your Service. In 2018, again India was the host nation with the theme Beat Plastic Pollution. This year, in 2021, Pakistan is the host country, and the theme is Ecosystem Restoration. On this occasion, United Nations Decade of Ecosystem is to be launched. For too long, we have been exploiting and destroying our planet's ecosystem. Ecosystem loss is depriving the world of carbon sinks like forests and peatlands. At a time, humanity can least afford it. The emergence of COVID-19 has also shown just how disastrous the consequences of ecosystem loss can be. The destruction of ecosystem may also increase the risk of other viruses leaping from wild animals into people, and the biodiversity loss actually amplifies the viral infection in remaining species. Ecosystem restoration means preventing, halting, and reversing this damage to go from exploiting nature to healing it. Only with healthy ecosystems we can enhance people's livelihood, counteract climate change, and stop the collapse of biodiversity. So we have to reimagine, recreate, and restore our ecosystem. The celebration of World Environment Day should not only be limited on this, nor its significance should be just tied within the e-platform celebration in the real world. But to save our Mother Nature, we must step into the real world and solve the burning issues with practical implementation of environmental laws and, of course, newer sustainable innovations. Above all, we have to take care of our mother nature. We have to love her. We have to think about our future generations. We should take promise to give a better world for them. আর তাহলে হয়তো কবির ভাষায় আমরা সবাই বলবো, এ বিশ্বকে শিশুর বাসযোগ্য করে যাব আমি, নবজাতকের কাছে এ আমার দৃঢ় অঙ্গীকার। থ্যাংক ইউ।
Thank you so much, madam, for your introductory address.
Thank you,
I would like to,
madam.
you're most welcome, madam. I would like to invite Mr. Diptanu Biswas, MAd second semester student of IISc Kunjaban Agartala, to say something.
Yeah, ma'am. So am I audible, ma'am?
Yeah. Best of luck, Diptanu.
Thank you, ma'am. A very good evening, a very good afternoon to all of you, my respected dignitaries, to respected teachers, and my dear friends. It's my privilege to represent before you this presentation on behalf of my college, IISc Kunjaban, on the occasion of World Environment Day 2021, whose theme is Reimaging, Recreate, and Restore. This year marks the beginning of the UN decade on ecosystem restoration. Now we all know about ecosystems, so we know it is a self-sustained unit that contains the abiotic, means the non-living and the living organisms who are in close interaction with each other, right? So ecosystem is very much important for us to survive. Now, ecological restoration is practice of renewing and restoring the damaged or destroyed ecosystems and habitats. We know about the habitat. That means what? The place of dwelling of the organisms. Means the place where they dwell, they spend maximum of their lifetime, right, in the environment, by active intervention of humans and human action. So we humans should take a pivotal role in restoring the ecosystem that are in threatened condition or are being damaged, right? Okay. Now, what are the advantages that we may face if we restore the ecosystem? The advantages is that it has a potential to improve the air quality, the air that we breathe in, right? Okay. It reverses desertification, and it also reverses the forest clearance. It slows biodiversity loss, and hence, it also enhances the urban environment to grow more. And perhaps the human livelihood will also increase, and also makes the human relationship with nature to become more stronger. So the ways by which we can restore the environment is to control the soil erosion by reforestation, means by the planting of new trees, or you can say afforestation also. So that we do during the Vanam Mahotsav festivals. Then the reintroduction of native species into their original habitat, which have been dislocated due to any reason, may be physical cause, maybe chemical cause, and eradication of invasive species that may have, invaded the natural habitat of the native species. So accordingly, in India, Environmental Minister Prakash Javadekar pledged India's contribution or commitment to restore 26 million hectares of land by 2030. Previously, Article 5 of the 2015 Paris Agreement urged the countries to act on forest degradation and forest, afforestation. India joined the Bonn Challenge. The Bonn Challenge was actually launched by the government of Germany along with the collaboration of IUCN, that is the International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, in 2015, and had pledged to restore 21 million hectares of forest land. Although the forest landscape restoration is a very long process. If I talk about my state, that is Tripura, the jhum cultivation or the slash and burn method of cultivation or shifting cultivation is usually practiced in almost 60% of the Tripura area, because as you know, the 60% of the land of Tripura is covered with hills and the hilly terrain. Okay, so where they usually burn the slopes of the hills, right, and the Jhumias do the cultivation. Actually, those land loses the fertility after 2 to 3 years, and thus it causes soil erosion, it causes the loss of biodiversity in the particular area of the hill tracts. In 2003, there was about 27.5 square kilometer of land under cultivation of Jhum. But later on, there was a drastic reduction of 54% in 2012, and it came around 12.7 square kilometer of hilly tract to undergo the Jhum cultivation now. So there has been a reduction. The reduction was due to the rehabilitation program, the restoration program, okay, or the change in the job program that was being promoted by the government of Tripura back in 2006. So there they have passed an act known as the Rehabilitation or the Jhumia Rehabilitation Act of 2006, where the government has encouraged the Jhumias to have, the rubber cultivation procedure, because the rubber provides more economic stability to the Jhumia rather than to have the shifting cultivation. Or the government also provided loans, okay, for the Jhumias to have a permanent cultivation procedure. So this is so what I would share from my state, from our state actually. So thank you for this introduction.
Thank you, Deeptanu, for your wonderful speech. So God bless you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I would like to invite Ms. Poshale Bhattacharjee, B.Ed 4th semester student of ISC Kunjaban Agartala, to say something.
Thank you, ma'am.
So best of luck, Poshale.
Thank you, ma'am. A very good afternoon to respected Principal Madam, Dr. Ratna Roy, ISC Kunjaban, the eminent dignitary, Dr. Prithvi Jyoti Bhomik, present here today, respected teachers and my friends. I am Poshale Bhattacharjee from B.Ed 4th semester, and it truly gives me immense pleasure to be here today to deliver the speech. While a pandemic rages in the background, wrecking lives of people, I wonder if there has ever been a more significant Environment Day celebration in the history. I would like to first briefly discuss about the concept of World Environment Day. The World Environment Day is celebrated worldwide on 5th June every year. In 1974, the first World Environment Day was celebrated with the theme, Only One Earth. In the following years, World Environment Day has developed as a platform to raise awareness on the various problems faced by our environment. That includes air pollution, plastic pollution, illegal wildlife trade, sustainable consumption, sea level increase, and food security. In 1987, it was decided to rotate the host of Environment Day activity by selecting a host country. So this year, the host country of World Environment Day celebration is Pakistan, and the theme of the year 2021 World Environment Day celebration is ecosystem restoration. Now, I would like to briefly categorize my speech into a few points. The first point, or rather the first question that arises in our mind is, what is ecosystem restoration? So ecosystem restoration denotes a system in the recovery of ecosystems that have been degraded by the activities like pollution and deforestation. It goes without saying that healthy ecosystems and rich biodiversity yield better benefits, such as more fertile soil, greater production of timber, etc. The theme delivers the emotions to reimagine, recreate, and to restore. For a very long period, we have been exploiting and destroying our Earth's ecosystem. Every 3 seconds, the world loses enough forest to cover a football pitch. As much as 50% of the coral reefs have already been lost, and up to 90% of this could be lost by 2050. Moreover, global greenhouse gas emissions has also grown up to 3 consecutive years. The emergence of the current pandemic has also shown just how disastrous the consequences of ecosystem loss can be. By shrinking the area of natural habitat for animals, we have created ideal conditions for the pathogens to spread. Ecosystem restoration means preventing, halting, and reversing this damage to go from exploiting the nature to healing it. Secondly, I would like to accentuate on the importance of ecosystem restoration and thereby creating an awareness among us. This World Environment Day will kick off the Human Decade of Restoration, which is going to be observed between 2021 to 2030. And this decade would aim to prevent and reverse the degradation of ecosystem on every continent and in every ocean. It can help to end poverty, combat climate change, and prevent a mass extinction. Only with healthy ecosystem, we can enhance people's livelihood, counteract climate change, and stop the collapse of the biodiversity. Thus, investing in ecosystem is investing in our future. Ecosystem restoration is a global undertaking at a massive scale. It means bringing back plants and animals from the brink of the extinction, from the peaks of the mountains to the depth of the sea. I would lastly move to the final point where I would talk about the various small actions we could impart, such as planting trees, cleaning up cities, and cleaning up the trash along the rivers and the coasts. Accomplishing these things will not only safeguard our planet's resources, it would also generate returns of over $7 trillion every year, and will also generate billions of job opportunities. I would further call out everyone to join the hashtag Generation Restoration movement through the official website of World Environment Day 2021. We all must remember that our Earth is though resilient enough, but still she needs our help. With this, I would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice and a peaceful day.
Thank you so much, Paushali, for your
Thank you, ma'am.
wonderful speech. And you have given a commendable contribution by saying that what things should be done to make our nature pollution free. Thanks once again. God bless you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
I deem it a great honor and privilege to invite Dr. Prithvi Jyoti Bhomik, Assistant Professor and Head of Department of Environmental Science, Kavi Nazrul Mahavidyalaya, Sonamura. Please, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Muntas Vishwas, for inviting me to this particular program. First of all, I would like to convey my deep sense of gratitude to Dr. Ratna Roy, who is principal of this highly esteemed institution, that is IISc. My sincere welcome to Dr. Sharmishta Banik, Assistant Professor, IISc, Dr. Partha Ghosh, Assistant Professor, IISc, Sri Uttam Mitra, Assistant Professor at IISc, and all other respected faculty members. Some of faculty members are known, and some I don't know. My sincere welcome to them. And last but not the least, very dedicated, sincere, and highly professional students of this institution. My sincere thanks and welcome to my speech. So I'd like to take permission from you all to share my screen. May I? May I share my screen? Sir, am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are audible.
Well, so as we all know that this year, our neighboring country, Pakistan, is hosting the
Yes.
World Environment Day. And this has been initiated by UNESCO long back. during the year 1972, as it was very nicely mentioned by distinguished faculty members of IISc. I have seen and I could follow the list of the hosting countries where India only twice hosted this particular World Environment Day with our counterpart Pakistan. But it was really surprising to understand and to know that our neighboring country Bangladesh, which is quite small, they have hosted this particular World Environment Day not less than 8 times. So this is how we have to understand what is our priority, what is our priority goal. Okay. So I will subdivide this part of lecture, today's lecture, into 3 parts, where first of all, I understand that general audiences are there. So I have generalized and tried to generalize my speech, and I have subdivided it into 3 parts.
Please, a little bit louder, sir. Little bit louder.
Okay. And the thing is that ecosystem, that is the first thing what we have to understand, first of all. And thereafter, we have to understand why and where was the requirement and necessity that now we are in a position we have to give emphasis to a particular theme on a very particular day of every year. And lastly, I'll try to make you understand very generally and very systematically that how actually we do the restoration processes. I mean, I'll not go into that detail, keeping in view of the general audience better. Okay, so first of all, if you first of all, we have to know that how to respect, reduce, reuse, and recycle natural things, natural resources. So the World Environment Day is not only restricted into these 4 words, which is respect, reduce, reuse, and recycle. If you understand what is ecosystem, first you have to understand what is ecology. So our system is eco, means we have biotic and abiotic, that is living and non-living beings in this world. And the interaction part is very important, which is called the ecology, where nutrient cycle and energy flow and all other things plays very important role. There are different kinds of ecosystems. I have enlisted a few of them. There are broad categories: terrestrial ecosystem and aquatic ecosystem. If you see, I have highlighted tundra ecosystem because most of you may not know the nature of the tundra ecosystem, but probably you have seen the picture of the tundra ecosystem. Yes, you are right. The treeless region found in Arctic and on the top of mountains, these are called the tundra region. This particular region of the world, this particular region belongs to very specific plants species as well as very specific animal species. So ecology plays a pivotal role out there also. Now, if you see the environmental factors, so environment is a very broad term. Okay, we'll try to highlight the key points out here that we cannot survive without the atmospheric part, we cannot survive without the hydrospheric part, we cannot survive about the lithospheric part, that means the soil part. Hydrosphere means the part which contains water, because water pH, salinity, dissolved nutrients, dissolved oxygen, many other things are there which contributes and which actually influences the biotic factors, that is plants, animals, I mean all living creatures. It may start from a very tiny insect like ants, and it may go up to the very gigantic animal like elephant. So everywhere there is an influence of these environmental factors. I'd like to share one story. It's not a story, it's a scientific research where it was understood that we all know that crocodiles lay their eggs where on riverbanks. So riverbanks are full of mud as well as of sand. So definitely the temperature of the water influences the temperature of the riverbanks. And as we know that the crocodiles, they burrow their eggs, they lay their eggs and burrow them under the soil, under the sand. So it was surprising to understand, to know that if the temperature of the sand or nearby water is more than 30 degrees centigrade, after fertilization, after hatching, you will see the crocodile is a female crocodile. And if the temperature is less than 30 degrees centigrade, then after hatching, the crocodile will be a male crocodile. So that is the thing. So this is how the environment influences us. So we cannot deny the fact. Now you have to understand these two meanings. One is green and one is brown. What is green? Green means all good things. You try to imagine the good things. You have pure air, you have plenty of trees, you have fresh potable drinking water, and in good environment. And what is brown? This brown refers to more people-centric environment. We all understand that development is a process which cannot be denied, and it is a continuous process. But we have to understand that development also costs something, and that's why the World Environment Day has been, organized in different parts of the country in a particular day to make it remember that what is the emphasis of this particular day. So, is it the development which ignores the environment, or it is the development which is more people-centric towards the development and compromising the ability of the future generation, as you understand what is sustainability. The sustainability or sustainable development is the development of the future generation without compromising the ability of the future generation. Okay, so here, if we see, there are different types of consumers. I mean, in terms of biological consumers, there are specialist consumers that primarily eat on one specific organism. But at the end of this lecture, I'll show you some keystone species who are so important, and that's why they are termed as keystone species. So this is a particular hawk which feeds upon mollusks. Okay, so it's a specialized consumer, and there are generalist consumers also. So generalist consumers are basically, they don't have any choice, like human beings, they are omnivores, they don't have any choice. Whatever they find present in fresh condition, they usually try to take it. So now, if you see that if you see that most concerning environmental issues in India, 2019, being a science person, I used to give references. So the latest reference what I got is that this is about India, the scenario of India, and a particular department, the research department, that is Statistica of Government of India, on 2nd December 2020, they have generated one, report. According to that report, the most concern is about air pollution. The most, concern, is most emphasis was given on air pollution, as it is clearly seen that it is contributing a large share. That means the odiness. We are too much worry about pollution, and actually this is the state of the environment. But is it the only thing that we have to worry? No, there are certain things they have listed: global warming and climate change, overpopulation, water pollution, deforestation, poor quality drinking water, dealing with waste, natural resource depletion, emissions, future energy sources and supplies, future food sources and supplies, wildlife conservation, flooding, overpackaging of consumer goods, and lastly, the soil erosion. So, emphasis has been given to all these, factors. These are influencing the life of the environment, especially the life of human beings in India. So let us highlight some of the important things. I'll try to show you one or two case studies where I found that this is the particular day where, since I have got an opportunity to interact with highly professional students and intellects of this highly prestigious institute, that is IISc, let me concentrate on one or two topics which I found is important to share. So this is one thing. 54% of India faces high to extremely high water stress. If you see the picture, I don't know whose microphone is linking. It's a bit annoyed. Technical person, if someone is here, can please switch off the microphone and others? It would be very nice. Thank you. So 54% of India faces high to extremely high water stress. If you see the map of India, you will see in the southeast corner of the map, the intensity profiling has been given and denoted with different colors, and we can understand where is our Tripura. And if you notice it very clearly that in some part of Tripura are facing low stress of water, but alarming situation is 3 districts. One is South Tripura district, Sipaijala district, Gumati district, as well as a little part of West Tripura district is facing medium to high scarcity of water stress. Secondly, the associated problem is this one. This is the soil profiling done by GIS. There are different agencies like IARS, Indian Institute of Remote Sensing, and we have ISRO also. They does all this type of analysis, and it is clear that if you see, this is our Tripura, and this is the semi-consolidated sandstone. Don't go after the name, Pandwana, that's a different thing. Semi-consolidated sandstone shell and the equivalent. That means what? That means this particular type of soil cannot retain water for longer period unless and until there are some measures taken. What happened in past? That plants were taking all these sort of measures. They are having the capacity to hold the water with their small or finer root nodules or fine roots. Otherwise, soil particles doesn't have that much capacity to hold this, water. And when there is a tremendous torrential rainfall, it is associated with surface runoff. So if there are plants, they will retain water and it will percolate down. That will, that will enrich the below ground or groundwater table. So that we know. But that is not my intention. What is my intention to tell you is that, see, if you can see the maps of Tripura, there was also a study where I could see 2 things. First thing is that the annual rainfall which was minus 86% last year. So can you believe that we lived through the year without facing any tremendous scarcity? That means we were completely dependent on the below ground water. So there is the danger. What is the danger? Okay, let's have another look to El Nino and La Nina years. Scientists or atmospheric scientists, they considered, environmentalists, they considered the year 2020 was El Nino year, where you will see this is the Pacific Ocean and this is India. You will see that there is a whirl, and this is whirl, and the slight reddish mark, this is denoted as warm water. So there is a whirl of warm water, and when this warm water of Pacific Ocean, it comes and mixes with the Indian Ocean, so it disturbs Indian monsoon, and that is why we had below average rainfall. So at least 2 to 7 years it takes to have an El Nino. This is a natural phenomenon. We cannot restrict it. But we are hopeful that this year we'll get tremendous amount of rainfall, and it will definitely help to recharge our groundwater level. But remember the figure that last year we had 86% less rainfall. The rainfall departure minus 86%. And the associated problem begins from here. Arsenic and fluoride contamination in groundwater. I was working since 2017, I think, on this to see the scenario of arsenic and fluoride contamination in Tripura, because I know that no such study has been carried out by the Tripura Pollution Control Board. So previously it was costly. This time it is not that costly. Different types of apparatus has been introduced by science, and it is very easy to detect the possibility of arsenic and fluoride in the potable drinking water. Here I am concerning about the potable drinking. I am concerned about the potable drinking water. So this is a very recent study made on May 2021, and it has come in Groundwater for Sustainable Development Elsevier paper, where if anybody is interested, I've given the link, can go through it and have a look. So this is one apparatus which is easily available in the market. If anyone is interested, they can see and they can see and they can purchase this. See, here I have shown some of the states of India where we find the contamination of arsenic. The situation is really alarming. You see Assam, there are 679 points of Assam where arsenic is present in groundwater. Let me clarify one thing, that it may be a big lake of Assam or it may be a big lake of Tripura, but we cannot be so sure that we are getting feed from a single reservoir, single underground reservoir, natural reservoir. So there everything is mixed. The moment you are pulling water from Tripura, you cannot be so sure that you are not taking water reservoir, share from Assam's reservoir. And the moment someone is taking out groundwater from Assam, they cannot be sure that they are not taking groundwater from Bangladesh. You must be knowing that Bangladesh is also the arsenic-prone area, and from 3 sides, our Tripura is surrounded by Bangladesh. So it's a matter of concern. And if you see Manipur, where it's a small state, but from 628 pockets are there where arsenic is there. And a small portion of Mizoram is also, which is associated with our North District, also facing the problem of this arsenic. Next comes how this arsenic contamination happens. There are different possible ways. We have atmospheric sources, industrial emission. Industrial emission is another thing, and when the surface runoff happens, it contaminates the nearby water bodies. By that way, plants uptake this arsenic. They don't have that much of sufferings with that, with the plants I'm talking about. And the volatiles comes out of their respiration. It directly affects human being. And not only that, if there are crops and vegetables contaminated with arsenic, because the groundwater is contaminated with arsenic, then it goes into our body. So, see, there are cattle and the feed on grasses. If the feed on grasses, which is contaminated with arsenic, because we don't know that from where the arsenic has come, because atmospheric deposition is also responsible. Because here from industrial emission, it goes up, it concentrates and comes out and comes with the rain. So different sources are there. So this is a vicious cycle, which is very dangerous. Forget about volcanism and other things. Some countries are there who are really facing the problem of volcanism. So they are also facing the problem of arsenic. So by that way, our atmosphere is contaminated, our hydrosphere is contaminated, and the biosphere where we live is contaminated with arsenic. So this is of my prime concern. There is a story that how severe it is. This particular person is a daily laborer who only took water for 3 days because he was unable to fetch water from his home. So he took water from the company where and he has got arsenic. So it has completely disrupted the nerve endings of his hands. Yes, I will telling you the nerve endings of hands and foot at the first where you will see the symptom, and the rest of the symptoms it comes slowly. This is another very interesting and very alarming to understand about fluoride exposure and poison. Almost same is the cycle how we are being exposed to the fluoride. So I shall be talking a little less about fluoride because the exposure cycle is same, the research cycle is same. But it doesn't mean that I'm not giving emphasis to. I'm giving emphasis to this arsenic pollution as well as this fluoride contamination also. See, these are the states which are fluoride affected states. Alarming situation. Alarming. So Assam, our neighboring state, Mizoram, neighboring state, a portion of Mizoram, not all, and our northern extreme north part of Tripura. They are going to be the most sufferers in future if we are not recharging the groundwater as a See, this is a picture I collected from NAT. As it is evident that the placards or the way they are agitating, you can see the language is of Assamese in nature, and try to see the deformity in legs, try to see the effect of fluoride contamination on aging. See, this lady apparently seems very aged, but not as growth and growth deformities there. See the limbs of the legs. Okay, these are not congenital, by birth they were not having this type of deformity. They got this deformity after galloping water of fluoride contaminated water. See the dentine deformity. They're very happy because they don't understand what is the problem. So there is a possibility that the school children from where they are getting potable drinking water, they gallop the water without knowing whether the quality of the water is potable or drinking up to the standard or not, because there is no measure taken anywhere in government schools, colleges, okay, in any institution to measure the water quality standard. So this is a very great concern. And if you see that, as I mentioned in the previous slide, that there are exposure from factories, mining activities. Government of India just recently, 3 days back, given approval of 41 coal mines. And more interestingly, those coal mines are situated in those areas which are already, contaminated with or suffering from high arsenic as well as fluoride contamination in groundwater. See the condition. So last 2020, the environmental impact assessment draft, I gone through the draft and I found it very interesting, and how it is taking care of few people of India. Okay, it was clearly mentioned there, and it was also violating some of the very basic environmental parameters. And will not be surprised. I'll not be surprised when I see that they have got the clearance also. And this is one example of that, how they have got environmental clearance. So I was also very surprised to see when I was trying to find some materials or literature survey on rainwater harvesting. As we all know that there is a possibility, and in hilly areas, basically, the people, they face the problem of tremendous water scarcity is there. So they used to collect this rainwater. So it's not a very new concept. It's a age-old concept. But when I tried to find some results, I got nothing, basically. Instead, I got a dam picture and the traditional way of collecting water. And this lady is very much surprised that how it is possible the water we are getting from. So there is nothing in Tripura. And where we are, yes, I inquired about it few days back to municipal corporation, and they have stated that all the big multi-story buildings now have to, it is mandatory for them to make rainwater harvesting. And unless and until the engineers are planning, have drawing and planning for that, they will not get the clearance from municipal corporation. But if you practically, if you go to those mansions and those apartments, if you ask to the natives, they all say either they don't know about the system or say, no, it is there, but we don't use it. So this is the loophole of the system. This is another artificial injection well where the severity of groundwater is there. They used to use it from long before. It's not very costly. If government wants, government easily can do all these things. Here I have seen, I was listening to Victonu, who was talking about Jhum cultivation, and where denudation is a practice. So Jumias has been given, first of all, the patta system, and with a clear message that government as well as stakeholders, they combinedly take care of the forest land what they have been given the ownership. but they cannot destroy the forest. But what happens in practical? They cut the wood, sell it in the open market. That is the thing. So 5 years back, at least, there was a meeting, a high-level meeting, where I could have the opportunity to talk about this artificial injection well, okay, took place in all denuded, hills and hillocks of Tripura, so that we can have a water reservoir, we can have a stable water reservoir under the hill, which actually recharges the 10 rivers of Tripura. But everything went into vain. They appreciated it, but we'll tie the knot. That is a problem out here. So as we know that if there is a will, there is a way. I went to the Ministry of Jal Shakti website and I found they have plenty of policies. And if you go to the link of program schemes, you will see not less than 20-25 programs are there, including Ganga Action Plan, Brahmaputra Action Plan. Okay. But slowly, the whole India is suffering of acute water crisis. Now they are talking about river linking projects. So here I forgot to mention one thing, is that our government is interested to make dam. This is not the scenario of our government. This is the scenario of India. First, they will try to link the rivers. They will try to, channelize the river through the drier part, because that they have, tried all the options and they failed. This is the last option they have. And next one is they will try to create the dam. And whenever we will make a dam, the possible problem is that siltation, flooding of a large area, and you have to take out the population. So displacement of population is also there. Associated, so many floras and faunas will be destroyed, where the entire world is now understood. It is understood to them that the problems associated with dams here in India, the engineers and policymakers, they are interested in making dams. This is insane. Now, lot many things we have discussed about the problems. So as a student of environmental science, it is my responsibility to understand, to discuss the possible measures, the solutions also. So prior discussing about the solutions, we have to understand what are the biodiversity hotspots in India. We have only 5 biodiversity hotspots. Somewhere it is written 6 also, but I consider 5 only. Ladakh is the Himalayan belt. So this is the longest stretch of biodiversity hotspot. Other biodiversity hotspots are in Burma, Sundaland, Western Ghats, and hot desert. So what is hotspot? To qualify certain place as a hotspot, you must qualify these 2 criteria. First thing is that 1,500 types of endemic vascular plants. Now, what is vascular plants? The general idea is the higher plants are vascular plants. Okay. And 70% habitat loss should be there. That means if I want to prepare one roti on a tawa, and if I see some black spots on it, that means the ingredients, that is maida or atta, has already gone, but the entire roti is intact. So those are the hotspots where we could see endemic, means native types of plants were there. They are biodiversitically very rich places, but 70% of the species has lost their habitat. They have to shift either this way or that way. and those places where biodiversity will be rich, that's why they have been termed as hotspots. Now, how ecological restoration process actually takes place? We understood the problem of water crisis. Now we'll try to understand the ecological restoration process. And that will conclude my today's lecture. You have to understand the niche model. Now, what is niche? Niche is the place where a particular species or a group of species or a community of species, they live happily ever after. So that is their niche, where they get their food, where they get their water, where they get good habitat. So this is their niche. So this is called considered as ecological niche modeling process. So for ecological niche modeling, you need to have an initial data preparation. Then you have to clean the data. So what is data cleaning? Because these are statistical parameters. You have to understand that when someone is collecting the data,
লাগে কই যে ওই ডিসিশনটা দিবা কইছে আমি নিজে আগে এটা মানে কি ওইটা যখনই আলোচনা
take care of the microphone, other microphones.
লাগে যখনই আমার কইছে আমি তো সঙ্গে সঙ্গে
coordinator, please take care of other microphones.
মানে মনিসিটা পপুলার.
Okay, thank you. So we have to collect the initial data. We have to prepare about the modeling process. Then we have to clean the data. Data cleaning means what? Data cleaning means, removing the impurities of data. If there is any doubt, we have to remove that data. Then we have to organize the data. That is, that is not going to take so much of, consume so much of time. And after that, afterwards, you have to do the model calibration. And model calibration is done with sophisticated softwares, but it takes some time. Final model construction and evolution, and finally the extrapolation, risk analysis. Okay, so these are some of the things. These are the parameters you have to. This is the process basically what you have to follow when you will be doing the ecological niche modeling. If you see the last part of this particular slide, southwest part, you will see corner, you will see low, medium, and high. This is the time frame it actually takes to go through to follow these processes. And this is basically a sample. Sample means this is basically an example how actually the remotely sensed data looks like. So this is done by remote sensing, and obviously it has to be correlated with ground level observation, and then only we can do this niche modeling. Okay, so these are going to be very complicated, but let me clarify this with this very simple model. Okay, suppose a particular place which is highly arid, but we have some rainfall data. We want to restore the ecology of that particular area. We have rainfall data, we have altitude data, and we have ground level observation. So minus indicates the non-availability, and the plus indicates the availability. Here also, minus indicates the non-availability, not suitable, and plus means the suitability. And this is current observation, means the people who live there, or the field survey when it was conducted, the surveyor found, the person found that this is the observation. The same quadrant. Okay, 4x4, same quadrant. Suppose this is Tripura. So minus means these are the places where not much rainfall, and plus means these are the places where there are rainfalls. The altitude means these are the high places where, these are the low-lying places, they are the high altitudinal places. And this is current observation. I mean the ground level observations. And these are the data collected from different agencies. Now, if you superimpose all these things, you will see that this particular block and this particular block has got introduced here. That means the superimposition of these three parameters, environmental parameters to environmental parameters, and this ground level observation has identified this particular block and this particular block to be potential for sustainable practice. So these two habitats have been reconsidered. So this is how, this is a very generalized idea and very easy idea. I hope students and my dear students and learned colleagues has understood that how actually the ecological restoration process with the human intervention. So this is another schematic diagram of regulatory science where they have introduced 15 environmental variables. Okay, so this is how they do the niche modeling. Similarly, ecological restoration process.
Sir, slide is not changed actually. Earlier slide is showing.
Now,
No,
is
sir,
it
same.
changed?
No,
Same.
sir. Same slide. It is, I think, 5 or 10 minutes. Same slide is showing.
Which one is the slide? Is it the slide?
It is the Indian map which showing the arsenic areas like northeastern part of India. Showing this slide.
Oh my God. Okay. Just let me. You should have told me. Probably by mistake, I have
Yeah,
showed something.
you actually see the slide which is indicating the arsenic pollution stated.
This one, no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This one passes so many long time. Now it is okay. Slide changes.
So up to where I was here, I mean, where
Yeah. It
yeah,
was
no?
actually
It was the last
showing.
slide.
It was the
Last
last.
slide.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me quickly. I think you have gone through the thing. Listen to me. It's very unfortunate. I'm sorry. I could have noticed it. So anyway, so this is the possible way. Very quickly, I will interchange
Okay.
the slides. These are the possible ways of arsenic contamination. I will try to correlate my words what I have already discussed. These are anthropogenic sources. Anthropogenic means human-induced sources. Industrial emission is there, and it concentrates in the higher altitude, and it comes down with rain. Then we use fertilizer, and arsenic is there. We have groundwater already contaminated with arsenic because these are heavy metals and these are elements. It's readily available in the soil, in the bedrocks, and when the plant takes it, it goes to the atmosphere as volatiles. Okay, so human beings are the worst sufferer, and they basically consume lots of arsenic knowingly or unknowingly. Okay, so even the cattles are grass feeding animals. So when they take grasses unknowingly, that the grasses are having contaminated with arsenic. So if we consume milk from those cattle, there is a possibility that we consume arsenic. Some of the countries are there where volcanism prevails, so they are also the worst sufferer because arsenic directly goes to the air, and when it comes down as rain, it recharges water table, but this is arsenic contaminated water table. Okay, so this is the story of a person which indicates that only thrice he took, for 3 days he took water from factory, which he did not know that it was arsenic contaminated because he was unable to fetch water from his home. and see the condition, the nervous, nerve endings of hands and foot heels at the primary, primarily this type of blisters will come, and afterwards the things are going to be worse. So this is one thing. So this is the slide I intended to show you about the fluoride exposure and poisoning of the country. So here also the same problem, the exposure route is same. I am not explaining it, quite elaborately because of the same exposure route, but it is not that I am not giving emphasis on this fluoride contamination. Today I am talking about arsenic, and I mean there is a scarcity of potable drinking water, associated problems with the fluoride and arsenic. So this is the part of India. These are the parts of India which are contaminated with fluoride. If you see, the Assam is the worst sufferer fluoride contamination. It is touching the area of Tripura, northern part of Tripura. That means where in future will also be problem because the groundwater is same, groundwater level is same, the aquifer is same, underground aquifer is same from where we are getting the water. So these are the protests. See the this is the protest, and by the language you will be able to understand that these are Assamese who maybe a patch of village, villagers came and they were agitating against the government because they want to live a healthy life, although it is not possible because if you see the deformity, the limbs have already got the deformity. There is a problem in the aging of this lady. So these are the associated problems of fluoride contamination, and these are the dentine deformities of fluoride contamination. So I was talking about no such higher educational or educational institutions present in Tripura that have the parameter, standard parameter of potable drinking water. Bigger institutes or higher education institutes or university, they should immediately take measure to identify the possible possibility of arsenic and fluoride contamination in Tripura, because Pollution Control Board is not doing the thing. Actually, they have to do all these things. So through this seminar also, I'd like to impress upon the Tripura Pollution Control Board to take this project and involve higher education institutions, teachers also in this particular thing. So if you consider the anthropogenic effects of mining and industrial emissions, now how government of India has newly given 41 coal mines approval. So this is insane, what I was saying. And most of these coal mines are situated in those states where already, the condition is very worse. So when I was talking about the rainwater harvesting, this is basically the solution. Up to here, I was targeting the problems areas only. Now I will be discussing about this. I will discussing about the solutions, where I could see that Parthu sir, is this can you see the slide now? Is it okay now? Parthu sir or anyone, please tell me whether the slide transition is okay.
Yes. Rainwater harvesting in Tripura.
So yes. So rainwater harvesting in Tripura, when I searched through Google, I could see that there is absolutely nothing. However, the traditional system has come. Traditional system of collecting the potable drinking water. The tribes, 60% of the population of India are the host sufferers. Okay, and we are proceeding to the dams only. We have already 2 dams, and now we are proceeding to the 3rd one. So the whole world has understood the problems associated with dams. You have to displace a large number of population. You have to sacrifice a large number of species, native indigenous species of plants, animals, insects, vertebrates, non-vertebrates. But again, we are this is absolutely ecology, against ecology, the dams basically. So we have to understand it and we have to admit our mistakes. So this is artificial injection well. This is a prototype of the artificial injection well. where I mentioned that Dipanu in his lecture or speech, he stated it very clearly that 65% land were occupied by Jumias and station burns technique. So it was a government decision to eradicate the Jumia technique by giving the patta. Okay, so if you visit the hill places of Tripura, you will see the thousands of hectares of lands has been denuded by these Jumias and no reclamation is there. And that is why we are losing the water table. Because unless and until we have plants over there, when there is a torrential rain, due to the undulating topography, all this water, they rush to the nearby river or stream or streamlets and ultimately goes to the river, and there is a heavy possibility of flood and loss of soil erosion is there. So 5 years back in a high-level meeting, I encouraged our state government to introduce this low-cost injection well. So by that way, they could have some employment through REGA, and some conductors and engineers would have got some money, and ultimately people of Tripura would have been not suffering that much of water scarcity. So as I mentioned that if I consider that if there is a will, there is a way, but I don't see there is a way, because when I went through the website of Ministry of Jal Shakti, I have seen that there are many policies, and if you go through the program scheme, you will also see that there are many programs, not less than 20-25 programs. So the list is very huge list is there, and Ganga Action Plan, Save Tiger project, so many things are there. So, but everything went into vain. See the condition of Ganga, Namami Gange project. See the condition of Brahmaputra River project. Okay, so number of projects are increasing, and number of sufferings are also increasing. So this is the scenario of 29 states. I mean, 25 to 26 states of India, and Bangladesh, is the worst sufferer of arsenic pollution, contamination in subsurface water, groundwater, okay, or below ground water. What you say? Now, Tripura is surrounded from three parts with Bangladesh, by Bangladesh. So that is another problem. Okay. So if someone is doing annotations, please stop annotating.
Yes, sir.
Someone is annotating the slide. I'm not annotating. Someone is anyway. So we have stopped. So now let us consider the possible solutions, because as a student of environmental science, it's my responsibility, it's our responsibility not to talk on the pollution perspective or the problem perspective, but also to provide you the solutions. So solutions, these are not very new concepts, these are the old concepts also, but these are relevant, and always it will be relevant. The hotspots. So India have 5 hotspots. In some literature, you will get 6 hotspots, but I consider 5 hotspots only. They are named as Himalaya, this is the Himalayan belt, this is Indo-Burma, this is the Sundaland, Lakshadweep and other islands. These are Western Ghats, Kerala, Karnataka, and Sri Lanka, and this is third desert, the part of Gujarat and this. So these are the hotspots. What is hotspot? Suppose if you want to prepare a roti or a tawa, you will definitely find, if you are unmindful, you will see some some portion of this roti has got blackish color. I mean, there's a burn. This particular place is burned up. But it is not that there were not ingredients of like maida or atta. Ingredients were there, but we were unable to manage it. And that's where these particular places were heated and the problem was there. So in hotspots also, to qualify a particular place as a hotspot, you have to go through, you have to qualify two criteria. First one is 1,500 types of endemic vascular plants and 70% habitat loss should be there. So endemic vascular plants in a generalized way, you can understand that the higher plants are the endemic vascular plants. Higher plants are the endemic vascular plants. Okay. So this is the thing. And 70% habitat loss should be there. So these hotspots are biodiversity-ally very rich, as I have already mentioned, but as because these are the areas which were supporting the entire diversity or biodiversity in terms of plants, animals, microorganisms, insects, okay, butterflies, birds, everything. These are in danger. So we have to take care of these things. Now, let us see how ecological restoration process happens. Because two problems I have stated. If I want to reclaim the situation, restore the situation what earlier it was prevailing, the good environment, the green environment, what should be the process? The scientists have developed the modeling with the help of GIS and ground level observation. Ecological niche modeling, this is the process. So what is niche? Niche is basically the habitat where a particular species gets ample of potable drinking water, lots of food, resources, and a place to stay. So these are the ecological niche modeling processes. I mean, this is the niche, and this is the process, how it goes. So to start with, the initial data preparation. In initial data preparation, we have to, if I want to do the niche modeling, I have to depend upon certain agencies who actually collects these data. These are the initial data. Then data cleaning, because if the data are there as the primary data, then we have to do lots of statistics and it will consume some time. We have to eradicate the possible errors. Then we have to organize the data. And afterwards, we have to feed all this data in the computer because we have to do model calibration and final model construction. And the last part is exploration of risk analysis. And afterwards, we have to place the project to competent authority for their final approval. Now you see the low, medium, and high level of timing. So if you see that most of the time is consumed in model calibration. So model calibration as well as the data cleaning. These two processes are there where you have to give emphasis, and this actually consumes lots of time. Now this is the GIS based data, mosaics basically, but after calibration what we actually get. So this would be a bit technical. So to generalize this, I created this one. This is basically two environmental parameters, the rainfall parameter and altitude, means where actually the place is situated, how high the place is situated, and current observation, that means field-based observation, that the observation of the people or population. So minus denotes the absence of rainfall or less rainfall, and plus denotes the presence of rainfall and good rainfall. Now altitude denotes, in altitude also minus denotes, these are not that altitudinal, no such altitudinal differences are there, but these are the high altitudinal places, okay. And this is field level observation. So here 16 quadrants, here 16 quadrants, 16 quadrants. If you superimpose the 16 quadrants, you will see very interestingly that there is an introduction of this particular quadrant. See, this particular quadrant, because field level observation, it was blank, no such possible of restoration was suggested, but altitudinal zone wise, if I see there is a suitability, and there is a suitability in rainfall also. That's why it has been included here. And in the last, southeast corner, the last quadrant also, you see, according to the population or the field survey, it was blank, means it is not suitable, but according to the data provided through other agencies, so we have to depend on the data of other agencies. I think this is the most generalized way I made you understand how actually physical modeling or niche modeling is done. Next, this is also a thematic model where, if you see, here we were including only 3 parameters, 2 environmental and 1 is local parameter. And here they have introduced 15 environmental parameters, and they have found the bird distribution map. Okay, so accordingly, they will try to formulate the nurseries, bird nurseries are there. Right? So this is how the process goes on. For example, if I want to know the river basin also, because civilization starts on the bank of the river, we know, and the river is the primary source of water for irrigation, agriculture. So that's why river basin, different river basin.
It's my privilege.
Different river basin projects there has been conducted in India. And one such river basin project, which was conducted in Kerala, Pannapuram River Basin, because it was a success story, and now the people are really gaining the advantage of this river basin hyperlinked project. So they are getting the benefit of it, and agriculture and other environmental parameters like species richness has increased in the banks of this particular river, and they have reclaimed or restored some banks also, river banks also, where there was huge sand dunes. They dredged those river because there were high potential areas they found. So this is how, but unfortunately in Tripura there is no such study of river basin. Some studies are conducted by some research scholars of Tripura University of Geography Department, but I don't know, and I'm not sure that whether these projects have got some color or this project has been submitted to the competent authority, because today or tomorrow the people of Agartala will be the most sufferer because of the topography or geographical position of Agartala. We have to think about our Howrah River. Now, this actually, the urban local, ecological restoration process, this is how it's restoring. So, first of all, you have to reduce your social impacts. Then you have to improve the ecosystem management. So, reducing social impacts means if you think globally, you have to act locally. Okay, in my next slide, I'll show that we have already started. People have already understood and started, and we're taking this type of initiatives long back also, and it is good. And then we have to improve ecosystem management. So here comes the governance. Here comes the role of the government. So these are side by side. Here you have to think yourself, and you have to think about the locality. If you have any idea, you must share it to the government bodies. If not possible, share it, take this concern of some environmental NGOs or some officials, what we know that will be fruitful, who can give emphasis of the project. Like we have smart city project right now at Agartala. The preliminary requirement is covering all these drains. Okay, you will not get that kind of smell, pungent smell or methane smell, what is coming out of the drain. So air quality will be a little bit improved. But for doing that, they have cut plenty of trees, mature trees. Those kind of trees, what I have seen, 42 years back, those were the trees, and full-grown trees were there. Those trees are not now. And if they cover up all those drains, what will be the fate? They're covering that soil first, and then how they will grow the trees, how they will make the green corridor. because we don't understand that we are lucky enough to get our topsoil at least 20-25 meter depth. Okay, but think about the Delhi, which is the extent, the last part of the Aravalli Parvat, where only 10 to 12 or 15 feet maximum. After that, there is a bedrock. You cannot take out the, whenever you want to take something, you will take on the stone. So they understood, the Delhi people understood that if they want to plant something, they will plant, and provided they will give full emphasis to this plantation, and they will keep them safe, and they will keep them intact. So that is how Delhi is has become Green Delhi now. Okay, because they are conserving the green corridors, and we have just started managing our greens. So long way we have to go. Then repairing the ecosystem function. So when there is a government intervention, so slowly it will start repairing the ecosystem function and initiating native recovery. That means local breeds. What is local breeds? There I will show you that. Once again, I'm talking about the endemic species. Those species try to understand the concept of the endemic species. These plant species were there long back, and because these plant species were able to survive in this type of soil condition, this type of environmental condition, so it would be very easy. If we plant them, there is a possibility that they will grow faster. Second thing is that we have to consider the kind of plant species which grow very fast. Say, for example, bamboo. Bamboo are the final successional vegetation, but it grows very fast, and it has the capacity to trap carbon from all over the body, So that's why that's how its growth is. There's a huge growth, in terms of compared to the other plant species. So there are ornamental bamboos. I have already introduced State Bamboo Mission to Art College as well as Music College, and I helped them to get one project of bamboo sampling. There will be sampling of at least 7 hectares of plant, and more than 700 bamboo sapling will be there. These all are ornamental bamboo. So I'm the Institute of Advanced Studies also can approach to Bamboo Mission to have this kind of bamboo plantation. And if there is any complicacy arises, you can contact to me also. It will be my honor to me if I can do something. Because sometimes I move in front of IISc for this or that purpose, and I see very less greenery is there. So there are 2 reasons of planting bamboo, because you don't have to manage them, first of all. Second thing is that you can manage the weeds, because under bamboo plantation there is no weeds. Okay, so this is one thing, because this is not a cultivation. There is no way of doing cultivation. No question arises of doing cultivation. I refer to Diptanu once again, where he mentioned that the tribal people were encouraged to grow instead of zooming, they were encouraged to grow rubber plantation. Okay, this is good. This is definitely give some amount of oxygen in nature. But the thing is that there is a possible problem of monoculture, and the plants are highly alkaloid, and the leaves of the high alkaloid concentrations are there in the leaves of these rubber plants, and there is a possibility that when these particular leaves are fallen, leaf senescence are there. So huge amount of leaf senescence are there. Denudation is there. It's a seasonal denudation, you can say, and it goes to nearby agricultural fields, and they are creating the problem. But in terms of soil fertility, there are studies that in terms of soil fertility, they increase the soil rubber plantation, increase the soil fertility. This is for sure. But there are alkaloid problem. So we have to consider this one also. Now, these are the some initiatives what actually we are taking. We are taking everyone is taking, everyone were taking from long back. So needless to mention the concern of the people. It is not that people are not doing anything. People are doing so many things, but only cleanliness drive will not be sufficient to for ecological restoration process, because ecological restoration means you have to simulate the particular place how it was first of all. Secondly, you have to create the possible model, and that require a technical understanding of these things. Not many people are having these things, but definitely there are ways to make it understandable to the local people, and we all are exhibiting these things like plantation programs, this thing, and reclaiming of wild places. So instead of planting trees here and there, um, if we can have the data from Survey of India, we have local chapters also. If we go to them, we can understand they have the data, and we can take the help of Tripura Space Application Center. They would help us to identify the areas where actually there is the requirement of plantation. Okay, so that is how very systematically and in a very synchronized way, if we follow, then only ecological restoration process would get the fruit of it, and we all will get the fruit of it. Say 30% of India is degraded and facing desertification, and this is alarming. 30% of India is degraded and facing desertification. So you just imagine deserts are having, what is a desert? It is a frozen desert or it's a sandy desert. Species composition alters. People cannot stay there. Okay, because we are not habituated of facing this type of environmental parameters. These are harsh parameters. So these are alarming. And second concern is groundwater level in India has declined by 61% from 2007 to 7. This is the latest data. That means 89% is used for irrigation according to the census. So there is a huge loss of groundwater because the rivers, the perennial rivers, okay, or where throughout the year there is a water, there is scarcity of water. Flash flood happens. These become very frequent, flash flood, because water cannot get time, is not getting time to percolate down because of denudation of hill and hillocks. Their artificial recharge has become important. And when I was working in South Dakota district, I talked with DFO, and we actually developed one unique idea to rejuvenate the plants from cutted plants, basically, because we have seen if we give them hormone treatment, the cutted plants where root is still exists there, it gives foliage comes very easier. It's very easy to get the foliage. But if we plant new trees, then there are possibilities that the tree will die, and people are not going to see whether the tree are getting fertilizer, nutrients, water, blah blah blah. So we started the process, and it has got a tremendous improvement in some of the areas where the place has been clear filling was there, and afterwards, what people did, they basically left the root material out there. We put some hormone treatment out there, and we have got the result. Those trees, really nice to see. Within 1 year, those trees are to see that within 1 year, the leaves, the foliage is coming in those trees. So there are many ideas what we can give. But the thing is that people need to understand that the whole world is not of doctors and engineers. Now, there has to be an understanding. The people, there has to be interaction, and very frequent interaction should be there with the academicians of higher educational institutions, and every good idea should be welcomed by the government. the time is indicating, the time is ticking out. You have to think about it. And why I was concerned about the water crisis is that I found there is a study which indicated that India ranked 120 among 122 countries in water quality index. So see the condition. We don't have potable drinking water, safe potable drinking water. And we were concerned, I mean, the whole world is concerned about the death caused by the recent pandemic. I don't want to mention its name because I don't feel good to mention its name because it's painful. Every death is painful. But is it not painful to understand that 2 lakh people die every year in India due to polluted water? Can you believe? So when we'll understand the thing? Now, I was talking about the keystone species. What is the importance of keystone species? Where do they stay? They stay in the same habitat where the other animals and plants are there. I have listed maybe 20, 25, like, okay, but there are other keystone species. They take pivotal role. If I talk about hummingbird, they are potential pollinators. That does pollination. Here I have not enlisted a butterfly. Let me see if I have enlisted. I have not enlisted, I think. Okay. So if you permit me 1 minute, I can tell a story of the butterfly. How important it was. There was an incident in 2004 in Kashmir. I know about that incident because I have seen it in the newspaper that apple production declined. So Indian Council of Horticultural Research, my sister was there, elder sister was there. Now she is in Cornell University, USA. She was a scientist in ICHR. The team headed by her went there in Kashmir to identify the problem. And to their great surprise, they found one butterfly is responsible. So when she was discussing with me about how one butterfly can be responsible for declining of apple production, she said that this butterfly, due to its physical structure, it was very helpful for the pollination of apple flowers. And there was a myth what suddenly arose in the population of Kashmir, that if you kill that butterfly and if you paste it on wall on top of the door, front door of your home, it will bring good fate. So instead of getting good fate, the population has declined because there was a huge killing. Then Government of India banned. So you never know that which kind of species. It may be a small insect, it may be a small ant, or it may be elephant, or it may be hummingbird, it may be jaguars. So who is taking pivotal role in what condition? So researchers are going on to identify these keystone species. So the thing is that when there will be restoration process, it will take time. It will take 10, 12 years. But you see, succession is a continuous process. It starts with the primary colonizers like grasses. If you denude a place, you cut soil, you leave it for 1 month. You will see some mosses, some grasses are there. And if you don't disturb them, they will take the share. And afterwards, some mosses will come, some fern will come, and then you will see some secondary successional vegetations. And afterwards, you will get some herbs, shrubs, and finally the tree species. But you have to understand and identify the pockets where you can place the green corridor. It is not that you plant a tree, without having any plan, it will grow, and certainly you want to do some construction, which is, obviously beneficial for, which is going to be beneficial for the population, that you cut the tree once again. So they don't give you protest. These trees are not giving you protest. That doesn't mean we'll cut them. So it's very painful when I see this kind of processes, and it is more painful to see the unplanned, unmanaged things. They cannot visualize. Whenever the bureaucrats he finds himself it's good with this decision, he tries to impose it, and whenever he finds no, it was not done, another bureaucrat comes and he tries to replenish all these things. I mean, remove all these things. So this is how it should not be. So ecological restoration is a the concept of ecological restoration. If you see the geographic, topographic, sociological, economical, environmental condition of Pakistan, it is very important for them, and very rightly they have hosted it this year, because it gives us the understanding that whenever a country is hosting, what is the main problem of that country? When India was hosting against plastic pollution, hello, am I audible? Hello.
Yes,
Yes, sir,
you
you're
are
audible.
audible.
Okay, actually, one phone came, so there was a possible disconnection. Anyway, so where I was, whenever any bureaucrats come and he finds that okay, let's go with this project, according to his mentality thinking, it's okay. And whenever the other bureaucrats come, it's no, it's not okay. So remove all these creatures from here. So this should be the way. Only engineers cannot plan. You need to understand the importance of educationists, environmentalists, okay, chemists, physicists, economists. You have to understand the importance of them. We are the think tanks. We'll guide our government. We let them understand what actually is, because we have got enough theoretical knowledge with practical exposures also. And I'm really very thankful that when I got the first call from Parthasarathi sir, and I was really overwhelmed that this is the first time I'll be talking with the kind of intellect who are intellects, who are professional, and it's a direct approach, because these assistant professors, associate professors, and teachers, there will be a multiplier effect. They can directly teach the students, and those students are the possible teachers of future. So it was really very wonderful. It's a direct effect the society is going to be. If 1% of my speech can motivate someone, so I shall be happy, more than happy. Okay. So for example, jaguars, what they do as a keystone species. Okay, let me tell you one thing. I was explaining the case study of a butterfly. Have you understood it, or there was a disconnection? Have you listened? The story of a butterfly. Hello.
Yes, yes. Okay.
Then why jaguars introduced, or they have been depicted in a keystone species, considered as keystone species? If you see the food habit of jaguar, they feed on 87 different species. They are carnivores, but then they feed on like human beings. They're omnivores. Okay, we don't have any specialized food habits, but they also don't have any specialized food habits. Although they are not herbivores, they're carnivore, but they feed on 87 different species. And by this way, they are trying to keep the population balance of the species on what they feed on. Okay, so this is the concept of the jaguar. I mean, this is the story of jaguar. Now I was talking about the elephant. How and why elephant has been considered as keystone species. And I mean, animal like elephant has a gigantic figure. When they move through the forest, sometimes whimsically they try to tear the branches. Okay, they break the branches, small trees, they smash small trees. Okay, so by that way, what happens? Sunlight can reach to the forest floor, and it proliferates small plant species. So unknowingly, this elephant is helping the forest ecosystem. That's why elephant is also considered a keystone species. So there are plenty of keystone species. Okay, the very interesting stories are also there available in that. You can go through it. So some of the things I have just mentioned here. I have not mentioned about tiger crocodile or tiger alligator. It's an American alligator. What it does is that it has a long tail, and it burrow its dig into the soil with its long tail. Okay, whimsically, and lay their eggs. And when the eggs are hatched, usually the baby alligators comes out and they go to the river and stay there, but they don't go to that particular place where they were burrowed. So that particular digged out area has become native of small fishes, insects, mollusks, snails. Okay. So this is how the giant alligator or king alligator was helping the nature. So it was also introduced as a keystone species. So scientists are doing their best, but we have to understand that human beings are, we may consider that we are the final organism. After that, there will not be anything. But it is better to take lesson from lower organisms that the way they are helping the nature are the way we are helping the nature. Nature has nothing to do because it is an abiotic factor. It doesn't matter how many viruses are there, how many insects are there, how many things are there. Unless and until we are getting harm of that, we really don't think about them. So this is the scenario of the whole India. We have to think globally, no problem, but we have to work locally for that. We are already stressed. We are already living in a stressed condition. Think about after 20 years, what will be the condition? Because 90 centimeter every year, the water table goes down. If you plant a shallow at your home, after 1 year, you will not get much of water. And after 2 years, you will not get water. After 3 years, you have to dig more to fetch the water. This is the condition. Okay. So that's why we have to understand the concept of replenishing water and recharging groundwater. This is very important. So that completes my today's speech. I hope I have done some justice with the invitation. So last but not the least, I really thank the organizers, the principal madam, who introduced me as a research person in IISc. I hope that this interaction will give a new opening, and I really appreciate that whenever there is a requirement, this kind of requirement, or you need some expert advice regarding any environmental issues, I am always there to help this institution. Thank you. Thank you very much. Over to the coordinator.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for your excellent deliberations. It was a detailed presentation. I hope from your today's presentation, teachers along with the students will be in a position to get an enriching learning experience. Thank you very much, sir. So I would like to invite Dr. Parthasarathi Ghosh, Assistant Professor in Chemistry of IISc Kunjaban, to move the vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon to all. It's my privilege to propose a formal vote of thanks. I, on behalf of IISc Kunjaban and Department of Science, organizer of today's program, take this opportunity to thank our respected resource person, Dr. Pritijyoti Bhomik, Assistant Professor and HOD of Department of Environmental Science, Kobi Kazi Nazrul Islam Mahavidyalay, Sonamora.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
For sharing his profound knowledge and insightful address with all of us. I am immensely pleased because he within a short time he responds our call and take the pain and share his vast knowledge with our students and teachers. My heartfelt thank to our respected principal, Dr. Ratna Rai, for constant support and inspiring us to organize such a program virtually. And I am thankful to all my distinguished participants and all my students, B.Ed and M.Ed, and all semesters for their contribution and active participation, especially Arpan Datta Rai and Kaushali Bhattacharjee, Diptuna Vishwas, and others, so many. And I would like to extend my sincere thanks to all my colleagues, especially Dr. Munmun Das Vishwas, Dr. Sharmishta Banik ma'am, Liton sir, and Uttam Mitra sir for their constant support and their contribution, valuable contribution towards the success of this program. And once again, I thank all of you and thank Almighty. Namaskar.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Namaskar.
So students, there will be a quiz link. You are all requested to
Yes.
stay tuned, and
Yes.
Parthasarathi sir is going to coordinate this.
Yes, ma'am.
So thanks once again. Thanks once again.
Dear
Is there anything,
students,
sir, you want to say?
yes. Dear student, already I have sent a online quiz link on our in our respected group. It is M.Ed and also B.Ed group. So you just participate. You just fill up with this Google form, and you see your score immediately after finishing the quiz. Thank you all for your patient hearing, and thank you our Munmun ma'am anchor for the program. Thank you, madam, once again. Munmun ma'am.
So it's over, sir. After vote of thanks, we have come to the
Okay.
end of the program. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, ma'am.